The Redskins had the 13th pick in the NFL draft, and the Redskins have already made some offseason moves. They traded for former Chiefs quarterback Alex Smith, and in exchange they gave the Chiefs cornerback Kendall Fuller, who was graded at a 90 last season. So before we even get to this Redskins draft board, let's just acknowledge this trade real quick. Honestly, the Chiefs just totally destroyed the Redskins in this trade. I don't care what anybody says. The deal for Alex Smith is 4 years and $94 million with $71 million guaranteed. And that's too much for a quarterback like Alex Smith. That's too much for any quarterback that's not Tom Brady, it's not Ben Roethlisberger, it's not, I know he's retired now, but not a Peyton Manning, or he's retired as well, or like a Brett Favre. That's too much for a quarterback. That's not one of those, that's not proven themselves to be elite. Like, not even Jimmy Garoppolo should get a contract that big. Not even a Matthew Stafford or Derek Carr should have gotten a contract that big, even though they already have. That's just too much for a quarterback like Alex Smith. All Alex Smith has done is he's proven to be a game manager. He's not the postseason hero that Tom Brady is, that Brett Favre kind of was, that John Elway was at the end of his career. That's just too much for someone like Alex Smith, because even though Alex Smith has won 2 playoff games in his career, right after that he just shown to be a game manager. So the Chiefs completely destroyed the Redskins in this trade because they saved $17 million by trading Alex Smith away. And in exchange they got Kendall Fuller, who was graded at a 90 last season. So that helps out the Chiefs secondary, who really fell apart when Eric Berry went out for the season after week 1. So Chiefs destroyed the Redskins. We're going to move on to this. The draft board for the Redskins. You can see on this draft board behind me, I have wide receiver and offensive line as their 2 top priorities, but I think wide receiver is the number 1 priority. And in particular, Courtland Sutton out of SMU. And Courtland Sutton is going to be mentioned quite a bit in these next couple of draft boards, because we got some teams coming up that might be looking at wide receivers, like Baltimore, maybe Dallas, depending on if this Dez Bryant thing doesn't continue in Dallas. So those are some teams that are coming up that we might be talking about Courtland Sutton quite a bit. And offensive line. Now that's the second priority. And if the Redskins had the most different offensive line combinations out on the field, more than any team this season. So part of the Redskins season was pretty much with an injured, beaten, and battered offensive line. So the Redskins have already made the offseason moves. It's been shown that the Kirk Cousins era in DC is over. It's the Alex Smith era now. Even though, not to foreshadow later in the draft at all, but I could see the Redskins also drafting a quarterback, not in early rounds, but maybe like in the 4th round or 5th round or 6th, maybe toward the later rounds. It wouldn't surprise me they took a quarterback late in the draft, like maybe a Nick Shemenek out of Texas Tech, or even a Tanner Lee out of Nebraska. That wouldn't, or maybe even a J.T. Barrett in maybe the 5th or 6th round. Because even though they have Alex Smith to a 4-year deal, I don't even think Alex Smith is going to even want to play for 4 more years. So that kind of surprised me a bit. Because the way I see it, I think Alex Smith only has 2 more years left in him. So let's conclude this by what I think the pick should be. If I were in the Redskins' position, you did have at least 20, 25 different offensive line combinations in 2017, the most in the NFL. But your biggest need right now is a wide receiver. And the reason why I'm saying that is because all the wide receivers the Redskins have had, they've either left or they've retired. like any Redskins wide receiver that's proven themselves with this Redskins team, like Santana Moss. Solid wide receiver. Deshaun Jackson left. And who do the Redskins even have at wide receiver that has proven themselves to be a pretty solid wide receiver? Josh Dotson's underperformed in his first 2 years. So that should be the pick for me if I'm in the Redskins position. With the 13th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Courtland Sutton. But of course, if there's a chance he's not available, take an offensive lineman. There's going to be an offensive lineman available, pick number 13. Doesn't matter who it's going to be. That's your second biggest need.